All right, welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to be tackling the science of weight loss. So we've got
Yeah.
three articles to unpack,
Oh.
and you've probably heard the simple stuff like eat less, move more, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna try to go a little deeper today.
Okay.
So one of the things that kind of surprised me when I was reading these articles is this idea that diet might actually be more important than exercise
Interesting.
for initial weight loss.
Okay.
Which is, it's sort of counterintuitive, right? You think like, oh, if I just hit the gym, I can eat whatever I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the common misconception.
Yeah.
That's out there.
So what's the science behind that? Why is diet so important?
Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, to lose weight, you need to create an energy deficit.
Okay.
So you're burning more calories than you consume. And when it comes to creating that deficit, calorie restriction through diet is just simply more efficient.
So it's more about what we're not eating than how many miles we're logging on the treadmill.
Pretty much, yeah. One of the researchers that's cited in these articles, Dr. Klein, makes a really good comparison.
Okay.
He says that the calorie burn from a 3-mile run is about the same as skipping like 2 ounces of potato chips.
Wow. So
same result.
Yeah.
Way less effort.
that's a really good way to put it. And I know for me, like
Yeah.
if I do a hard workout, I want to reward myself.
Exactly.
And I'm more likely to eat more.
You justify it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But then so if diet is so important for the initial weight loss, where does exercise fit in? Like what's the role of exercise?
So exercise is really important in fixing what some researchers are calling a broken metabolism.
Broken metabolism.
Yeah.
Is that like a real thing, or is that just kind of a saying?
It's a real phenomenon,
Okay.
and inactivity is like the main culprit. So there's these studies, even from NASA, that have shown that even a few days of not moving can make your metabolism significantly less efficient at using energy.
Wow. So is that like, are they putting astronauts in bed or what?
Yeah, they actually used bed rest to kind of model inactivity.
Interesting.
And it's crazy how just a few days can really have a big impact.
So our bodies really are designed to move. I never thought about that in terms of like astronauts coming back to Earth and having all those problems.
Definitely a factor.
Wow. Okay. So exercise can help reverse that
Absolutely.
metabolism.
Especially strength training. So
Yeah.
that helps build and maintain muscle mass, which is a key driver of your metabolism.
Okay.
It also helps improve your insulin sensitivity, so your body is using glucose more efficiently.
So it makes your metabolism more flexible.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. So it's not the magic bullet for weight loss,
Yeah,
but it's really important for keeping it off.
exactly.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that's kind of a bummer that the articles touch on.
Right, is this idea of weight maintenance.
Yeah.
So you lose the weight and then,
It's hard to keep it off.
yeah,
And one of the reasons for that is because after you lose weight, your metabolism may not ever fully return to what it was before.
that's a bummer.
And it's not meant to discourage anyone, but it's important to understand that maintaining weight loss often requires more effort than losing it in the first place.
So like your body has a set point,
Yeah, your body has a set point.
and it wants to get back to that.
It wants to get back there.
So you might have to be working harder even years later.
Yeah, you might.
Which I guess that explains why so many people yo-yo,
Yeah,
right?
it's very common.
Okay. So let's talk about specific diets. Is there a magic diet? Did the articles say anything about that?
One of the articles actually debunks that myth of like the perfect diet.
Oh, interesting.
So, whether it's low fat, low carb, all those trendy diets,
Okay.
they all work if you stick to them.
Oh, so it really is calories in, calories out. Yeah, it comes back to that energy deficit.
Okay.
There's a story about a nutrition professor who lost weight on a Twinkie diet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He basically proved that for weight loss, a calorie is a calorie.
Interesting. Now, I'm not saying
Right.
people should eat Twinkies,
Definitely not.
but that's an interesting point.
It's not to say that you
Yeah.
should be filling up on junk food.
Yeah. So what should we be focusing on? If we're not just counting calories, are there certain foods that are better than others?
The articles emphasize whole foods, especially those rich in fiber and protein.
Okay.
So starting with whole grains, like brown rice, quinoa, oats, whole wheat bread, those digest more slowly than refined grains,
Right.
which helps keep you feeling fuller for longer.
So you don't get those energy crashes, and then you don't want to go
Right.
reach for a snack.
Exactly.
Okay, so like instead of white rice, brown rice.
Yeah, simple swaps like that.
Gotcha. Okay. And then there's fiber. It plays a crucial role in digestion, but it also helps regulate blood sugar levels, which also promotes that feeling of fullness.
Okay.
The articles list a ton of great sources: fruits, vegetables, legumes,
Yeah.
whole grains. We already talked about those.
So that sounds pretty tasty.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of good options there.
All right, let's talk about protein. I know it's good for building muscle.
Oh, yeah.
But the articles also talk about it for appetite control. How does that work?
Protein is it's a powerhouse when it comes to regulating your hunger hormones.
Okay.
So it helps increase those levels of satiety hormones like leptin, which tells your brain you're full.
Okay.
And then it decreases the levels of the hunger hormone,
Yeah.
ghrelin.
So you're not getting those cravings.
You're less likely to overeat.
Okay, so what kind of protein-rich foods should we be eating?
You got your typical ones: lean meats, fish, poultry, eggs.
Okay. Yeah.
But they also emphasize plant-based sources like beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh.
And don't forget about low-fat dairy products, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese.
Okay, so we've got a lot of options.
Yeah.
This is a lot of information, and it's really interesting.
It is. Yeah.
It's amazing to me how complex it is.
Yeah, it's more than just willpower.
Yeah,
It's really about understanding how your body works.
totally. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the brain,
Sounds good.
how the brain is involved in all of this.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so we'll be right back.
All right, so we're back and ready to dive into this whole brain thing.
Yeah, this is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's really
How does the brain work with all this?
So, you know how you might reach for a sugary snack like without even thinking about it when you're stressed or something?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like that's your go-to.
Yeah, if I'm stressed, it's a bag of chips every time.
Right. Well, those automatic responses, they're driven by neural pathways in your brain.
Yep.
So basically, repeated behaviors, like whether they're healthy or unhealthy, create these like well-worn paths,
Right.
that make those actions just easier to do again and again.
So the more times you reach for the chips when you're stressed,
The more likely you are to do it again.
it's easier it is.
It becomes automatic. Yeah.
It's like a habit.
Exactly. Like a habit. It's like, what's a good analogy? It's like those trails in the woods,
Oh yeah.
The more you walk them, the more defined they become.
Yeah. So we're making those trails in our brains.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
And the same thing happens with overeating.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've spent years, eating large portions or having dessert every night, your brain has learned to expect that.
So we're kind of fighting our own brains.
In a way, yeah.
Wow.
It's like those ingrained pathways just make it so much harder to resist, even when you know you should.
Yeah.
And here's the really crazy part.
Okay.
It's not just about expecting those behaviors, but the brain actually physically adapts to them.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
So remember those hormones we talked about, ghrelin and leptin?
Yeah, the hunger and the fullness hormones.
Right, exactly. So over time, your brain's response to those signals can get messed up.
Because of how we're eating.
Right.
Okay.
So you might not feel full even when you've had enough to eat.
So your brain is not getting the message.
Or you might get those crazy cravings
Yeah.
even when you don't need more food.
Oh, wow. So it's like the wires are crossed
Exactly. Yeah, like the communication is broken.
between your stomach and your brain.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's fascinating. Okay. So it's not just about making better choices.
Right.
It's like we have to rewire our brains.
You got to rewire it. Yeah.
Is that even possible?
That's the good news. The brain is super adaptable.
Okay.
Scientists call it plastic,
Oh.
which means it can change, it can form new connections.
So even if we've been doing things the wrong way for a long time,
There's hope.
there's hope.
We can retrain our brains.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's not a quick fix, though.
Okay.
It takes time and effort, just like it took time to create those unhealthy pathways.
So we have to be patient.
Patience is key.
Okay, so it's like with anything else,
Yeah, like building a new habit.
You're not going to change overnight.
Exactly.
It could take time, but we can do it.
You can do it, yeah.
This is good stuff.
It is.
So I guess the question is how? How do we do this?
How do we rewire our brains?
Yeah.
That's the exciting part. We'll dive into that in part 3.
Okay, sounds good. So we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with more practical tips.
We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about how do we actually rewire our brains?
All right, so let's get practical.
Yeah, give me some tips.
Okay, so remember those whole grains we were talking about? Brown rice, quinoa, all that good stuff?
Yeah.
So those help regulate blood sugar, which prevents energy crashes and those spikes that can make you crave sugary stuff.
So it's not just that they make you feel fuller longer.
Right.
It's like they
affect your brain.
affect your brain.
Yeah, they help you make better choices.
Interesting. Okay.
When your blood sugar is stable, your brain gets a nice, steady supply of energy, which makes it easier to think clearly and resist those impulsive snacks.
So my brain is not like, give me sugar.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What about fiber?
Okay, so fiber is your friend
Okay.
for so many reasons.
Yeah.
It adds bulk to your meals, which stretches your stomach, so you get that feeling of fullness.
Right. Okay.
But it also slows down digestion.
Okay.
So the nutrients from your food are released more gradually.
So you don't get those like sugar rushes and crashes.
Exactly. It's like a slow and steady release of energy, which keeps your blood sugar stable and your brain happy.
Okay, so give me some like good fiber options.
Fruits, veggies, legumes, all those whole grains we talked about.
Yep.
Nuts and seeds are great too.
Oh yeah, nuts are good.
Packed with fiber and protein.
Okay, so protein, I want to come back to protein because we were saying it helps regulate those hunger hormones.
It does.
So how does that play into this whole brain rewiring thing?
So when you eat protein, it stimulates those satiety hormones like leptin, which tells your brain, hey, you're full, you can stop eating now.
Okay.
And it also helps stabilize blood sugar, so again, it's keeping your brain happy.
So it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, protein is your friend.
Okay. Any favorite protein sources? We talked about some already, but
I love lean meats, fish, chicken, eggs.
yeah,
But don't forget about plant-based options like beans, lentils, tofu.
all that good stuff.
Well, it's all good.
Okay, cool. So we've got the food part down.
Yeah.
But what about things like mindful eating, hydration, sleep? How do those fit in?
All right, so mindful eating is huge.
Okay.
It's about being present when you eat, really paying attention to the flavors, the textures, how your body feels.
Slowing down.
Slow down, yeah,
Really tasting your food.
exactly. And that helps strengthen the connection between your body and your brain.
So your brain can actually register that you're full.
Exactly. No more mindless munching.
Yeah, no more like reaching for a bag of chips while you're watching TV.
Right.
Okay, what about water?
Hydration is so important.
Okay.
A lot of times we think we're hungry when we're actually just thirsty.
Oh, that's true.
So staying hydrated can help prevent those false hunger pangs.
Makes sense. Okay.
And then sleep, oh man, sleep is crucial.
Okay.
When you don't get enough sleep, your body produces more of that hunger hormone, ghrelin, and less of the satiety hormone, leptin.
That's why I get those late night cravings.
Exactly.
Right.
So when you're sleep deprived, you're basically setting yourself up for cravings and overeating.
So we got to prioritize sleep.
Sleep is your friend.
Yeah, okay. So it's like all these things work together, right?
Yeah, it's like a holistic approach.
It's not just about the food.
It's about your whole lifestyle.
It's about mindset.
It's about taking care of yourself.
This has been so interesting, and it's really given me a lot to think about.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's empowering to know that we can change our habits, we can rewire our brains.
Yeah, we have the power to make those changes.
Okay.
It's not easy, but it's definitely possible.
All right, well, that's about all the time we have for today.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for having me.
And remember, small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So start with one thing, be patient with yourself, and celebrate your successes.
Great advice.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time.